What's up, everybody? Welcome to some Green Black Zombies. Hope you're a card-carrying member of the Golgari on this one. Hey, and if you're an Izzet member, I won't tell the guild. If you want to play some Green Black Zombies, man, hey, it's only fair. It's fun to go undead every once in a while with the Golgari. Anyway, let's jump into the deck tag. Jerry Thompson took down the Pro Tour with Mono Black Zombies, and I wanted to build it for Modern. And as I was going through different zombies, basically you can kind of splash almost every color in Magic to build some sort of modern zombie deck. Today we're running Green Black Zombies. So instead of just building a straight mono black zombie deck, I decided to do something a little bit different. I'm kind of going to be highlighting each color in a zombie deck as the week progresses. So today we're doing Green Black Zombies. Later in the week you're going to see Black Blue Zombies, Black White Zombies, Black Red Zombies, and then like five color zombies. So the five color is kind of a hot mess right now. I'm trying to fine-tune that thing, but hey, sometimes it's just good to roll with a hot mess, and then sometimes it works for you. So instead of just doing one just mono black zombie deck tech and 5 gameplay videos, I just kind of wanted to highlight what you can do with each different color while having the same core value of a zombie deck at its base. So let's start off with what the base of each zombie deck is going to be, and that's going to revolve around Cryptbreaker. So we have Cryptbreaker. It's a 1-drop zombie, 2 mana activation, discard a card, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token, then tap 3 untapped zombies you control, you draw a card, and you lose 1 life. Now let's start off with Cryptbreaker's first ability, 2 mana, discard a card, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. This works perfectly with Gravecrawler. You can pay 2 mana, discard Gravecrawler to the graveyard, you can get a 2/2 zombie token, then you're going to be able to cast Gravecrawler out of the graveyard, come back on the battlefield. So it's one of those that if you get down Cryptbreaker turn 1, turn 2, you want to dump a Gravecrawler into the graveyard, then you can recast it next turn to have an active Cryptbreaker online to draw a card, or even late game, you can just get a nice little 2/2 body and then discard the Gravecrawler to cast it out of the graveyard. So just kind of nice little interaction on that. Now on the second ability with Cryptbreaker, tap 3 untapped zombies you control, you draw a card, and you lose 1 life. We're pairing this with Blood Scrivener. If you would draw a card while you have no cards in hand, instead draw 2 cards and lose 1 life. So we're running a lot of 1-drop zombies in this deck, as you can see by the first column. So we're looking to get into spots where we dump on our entire hand, we get Blood Scrivener out there, and we can get into spots where we activate Cryptbreaker, tap 3 zombies, draw a card, and instead of drawing 1 card, we're going to be drawing 2 cards, and you're going to lose 1 life. So it's a good way for us to dig for a zombie lord, or just look for more zombie bodies or some sort of removal. So really good interaction on that. Outside of the Cryptbreaker at the 1-drop, we do have Diregraf Ghoul. It's just a simple enter the battlefield 2/2 taps. Now, as far as sequencing goes, it's kind of really important turns 1 through turn 2 how you sequence something. So let's say that you do have Cryptbreaker in the hand. Since the tap 3 untapped zombies you control is an activated ability, you don't have to worry about summoning sickness. You want to get into spots where if you have any 1-drop zombies in your hand, you want to make sure you put the ones that come into play tapped down first. You may be tempted to go for a Cryptbreaker so you can get an activation. But if you have anything like Diregraf Ghoul or even Dread Wanderer, they're going to come into play tapped. So it's really important that, let's say you just have 2 1-drops and you happen to draw into another 1-drop zombie on turn 2. So that's going to be, you're going to have 1 zombie on the battlefield, and then you can spend both mana to put a 1-drop zombie back out there. And by putting in one of the tap creatures on turn 2, you're not going to be able to have that Cryptbreaker activation. So it's one of those times where you need to kind of worry about your sequencing turns 1 through turns 1 and turn 2 to make sure if you can have an active Cryptbreaker through some of your zombies, make sure you put the ones that come into play tap first. So just a little sequencing note. But yeah, we're running 2 copies of Diregraf Ghoul. We're also running 3 copies of Dread Wanderer. Once again, it kind of fits in with the Cryptbreaker discard a card theme. We're trying to go Hellbent so we can get into active Blood Scrivener. So with Dread Wanderer, we can discard it into the graveyard. Then for 3 mana, activated ability, return it from the graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this anytime you can cast a sorcery, and only if you have 1 or fewer cards in the hand. So once again, we're just dumping our hand full of zombies, getting rid of all of our zombies. We do have Liliana and the Veil in the deck, so it's really not going to be that hard to get into spots where we're going to have an active Dread Wanderer out of the graveyard. If you don't have anything to do for the turn, it's a good way to kind of just return it out of the graveyard for free. So we're running 3 copies of that. We're also running 3 copies of Fatal Push. Very good in the deck, and just a really good piece of removal. You do want to have a nice little suite of removal in this deck, just because you're looking to get into spots where you can kind of push in a nice little alpha swing with some of your zombie lords, which I'll cover later in the deck tag. But yeah, Fatal Push is good in the deck. They're also running Gravecrawler, man. He's just an all-star. He cannot block. You may cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard as long as you control a zombie, which we have about 30 zombies in here, so we're always going to have an active Gravecrawler out of the graveyard for the most part. And he's just a good value creature, man. You can always swing in with him. They chump block, he goes to the graveyard, and then he crawls right back out of the graveyard. He's a very hard-working zombie, and he definitely got a gold star in this deck. Okay, covered Blood Scrivener, but I'll go and do it again. If you would draw a card while you have no cards in hand, instead draw 2 cards and lose 1 life. Now, let's say we don't have an active Cryptbreaker on the battlefield, but we do have Liliana the Veil. We're we're hell-bent. Liliana the Veil will help us discard our hand, make sure that we have no cards in hand, which will kind of allow us to get into spots where we can have an active Blood Scrivener not activation, but a replacement effect, where we're going to draw 2 cards instead of 1. Now, just a little bit of a side note, let's say that you have 2 Blood Scriveners on the battlefield, you'll be drawing 3 cards instead of 2. So each one you get out there is just going to add an extra card that you're going to be able to draw. We're also running 3 copies of Abrupt Decay, just a good piece of removal, and then if our opponent has the Liliana matchup or any other sort of problem permanent that we need to deal with, really good in the deck. Now, the splash part, we're running Lotleth Troll in here. Let's start off with Lotleth Troll. He has Trample, discard a creature card, put a +1 counter on Lotleth Troll, then for 1 black mana, regenerate Lotleth Troll. So he is a 2/1, but let's say that we get Lotleth Troll down on turn 2. We have Gravecrawler, we have 2 Gravecrawlers in the hand and a Dread Wanderer. So we can get down Lotleth Troll, chunk all 3 cards at instant speed, make him a nice little 5/4, 4/3, whatever it is. And then we have the nice little regeneration clause on Lotleth. So you can also get into spots where you just kind of go beat sticks with Lotleth Troll. You get him down turn 2, next thing you know, you've got a 5/4 or a 6/5 coming across, and that's nothing to sneeze at. And especially just for 1 black mana, regenerate him. A really good card, and it has Trample. So like once again, if our opponent gets Liliana the Veil out there, we can swing in with Lotleth Troll and then kind of push some damage through, and then kind of go from there. So really good card in the deck. I love Lotleth Troll. He's an awesome card. And then we're also running Putrid Leech. Pay 2 life. Putrid Leech gets +2/+2 until end of turn. Activate this ability only once each turn. It's pretty important. I mean, that keeps him out of bolt range. If you're going to get into a spot to where you're going to swing in with him, activate him to get that extra +2/+2. And then we have a Zombie Lord out there. It's going to be a nice little additional bonus. Your opponent can respond to the activation with the lightning bolt to take care of them, but it also puts it in a spot to where on your opponent's turn, if they do go for lightning bolt or anger of the god or something like that, in response you can pay 2 life to kind of give it a nice little protection, and then have a nice little full 4 body, because paying the 2 life in this deck just doesn't really matter, because you're going to be dead either way. If you I'm trying to think how to say it, basically the pay 2 life is not a very taxing effect for this deck, because we're looking to close it out quicker than it's going to become a problem for us. That's the word that I'm looking for. Okay, we're also running 3 Lord of the Accursed. Other zombies you control get +1/+1. Then, for 2 mana, tap, all zombies gain menace until end of turn. So what we're looking to do with it, the reason we went with Lord of the Accursed is because of that tap ability. Lord of the Accursed is a zombie lord. But at the same time, if we have another Zombie Lord out there, he becomes a 4/3. So it kind of gives us a nice little, make sure that we're not going to lose our Lightning Bolt on Lord of the Accursed. But we have a lot of 1-drop, 2-drops out there, and most of the time we're just looking to get into spots where we can get down a Zombie Lord and kind of swing in for a nice little alpha swing or a nice little crippling swing. So with the activated ability, they all gain menace until end of turn. It kind of puts it into spots where you're going to be able to push in a nice chunk of damage, and then even if some Gravecrawlers get blocked, you can still recast them on the back end. Once again, running Death Baron. Skeleton creature, no skeletons, but other zombie creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Death Touch. So, Death Baron is really good in the deck. You've got a bunch of Gravecrawlers and Dread Wanderers swinging in cross, so they get a +1 and they have Death Touch. It's a really good way to kind of take care of a bunch of Tarmogoyfs, especially if they're going to chump block on a Gravecrawler or something like that. So, Death Baron is really good. That Death Touch is really good in the deck. And they're also running 4 copies of Liliana the Veil. This helps us push our agenda. Each player discards a card. For discarding a Lotleth Troll or a Dread Wanderer, we can cast them out of the graveyard, and then -2, target player sacks a creature. It'll kind of help us kind of free up the board or put them into spots where we can swing with a few more creatures. Now, as far as the sideboard goes, it's just going to be completely dependent on your meta. As far as what we've got going on, we've got 2 surgical extractions, some Thoughtseizes, Nature's Claim to kind of take care of any sort of ensnaring bridge or something like that. Victim of the Night's really good in the deck. We are basically almost a mono black deck, so we're always going to be online for Victim of the Night. Lifebane Zombie is actually really good. Intimidate can't be blocked except by artifact and or creatures that share a color with it. And then whenever it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a green or white card, exile from it, and exile it. So it's a little bit of a kind of a poor man's thought not seer for a zombie deck, if you want to call it that. And then, there's sometimes where if we're going so many zombies, let's say that the matchup's not good, we're running 2 copies of Phyrexian Obliterator and Kalitas, Traitor of Ghet. So basically, it's kind of a way for us to kind of maybe back off some of our 1-drop zombies, kind of go more of a kind of mono black, green black, kind of not control style deck, kind of more of a mid-range deck with Liliana the Veil and Phyrexian Obliterator. But that's kind of just a little bit more of a worst case scenario, or if you just absolutely need something like a Phyrexian Obliterator to help you kind of close the game out. So, but yeah, I think that's the deck tech in a nutshell. Once again, these decks are kind of more geared towards like a Friday Night Magic style setting. You know, I'm just kind of highlighting what the splash does for each deck. So these are definitely not tier 1 decks. You know, I'm going to be honest with you. If I build something and I feel like it's good enough to take to a tournament, I'll let you know. This one, like, you know, if you wanted to take it to Star City game event, you would have fun, but I don't know how your results would go. So, but I just want to be honest on that. So it's just kind of one of those, just, you know, even though deck's not tier 1, doesn't mean it can't be played and you can't have fun playing some zombies. So here we are. And if you want to build this deck, you know, let's say that you do have the mono black zombies for standard and you don't have a playset of Liliana, they are very expensive. You can definitely adjust this deck to your current budget. So let's say, and the Phyrexian Obliterators are expensive and Kalitas is kind of expensive too. So if you just want to go budget, you can definitely cut the Lilianas, kind of maybe go up on a few zombie lords and then maybe bring in some more hand disruption or something like that. But yeah, you know, you don't have to stick to Liliana the Veil. She definitely does help the deck, but if you just wanted to build a fun casual deck, man, just throw a few more zombies in there and have some fun. So, but yeah, I've got some nice gameplay videos for you up, and then, yeah, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks.